Folks, I'm back up at my camp. I'm gonna do a little bit of painting. I was gonna go over to one of the trails and do some hiking, but it was pouring all the way up here. And now, just as I pull into my driveway, it stopped a little, but it's still, it's still coming down, and I don't want to get soaked today, so I'm gonna put off my walk until tomorrow. Last night when I got home, I was fine. I did that walk. I did some painting. I felt just fine. And then as soon as I got out of my car, I had terrible pain in my hip. And I thought, oh boy, this is going to set me back for a while. But I took an ibuprofen and I got up this morning and I feel fine. So hopefully this diet is helping me heal faster. But I was fine enough to go do a walk, but maybe it's better off I take a break because of that pain I had. Take a day off and I'll pick up again tomorrow. I can't believe this is like the 6th or 7th straight day that we've had these clouds and rain and just miserable weather up here in the Northeast. But anyway, how are you folks doing today? I hope you're all okay. I hope you're being strong. I told you yesterday on my walk that my ketones went down. And when I got home last night, I checked them again and they were back up to 1.5. So I was happy about that. I don't know why. Maybe they fluctuate sometimes. I'm not sure, but so that's good. I got that. And yeah, I'm going to do a little bit of painting. And that's exercise too, but that's not the kind of exercise that I really put down in my successes for the day, because that kind of work is not aerobic. When I exercise, I kind of gear toward getting some aerobic exercise where you have to breathe in and get your lungs expanded. That's the best kind that I like. And I know I use those little 3-pound dumbbells maybe 2 or 3 times a week just for my arms. And it's good for me to do that. I like to do that. There looks like it might be starting hard again. But I like to do that just because I need to build up my arms. I'm sure you saw my fat arms in one of those videos. You get to a point and you really can't hide it. I've tried hiding it and it doesn't work. No. The one good thing about this rain jacket that I've been wearing for a week, covers most of it up. But I'm not going to be able to wear this raincoat all the time. And when it gets hot, I like to be comfortable. I wear loose clothes and you get to a point and you just can't hide it. So anyway, folks, I'm going to keep going with this channel. I'm getting more subscribers, and I can't thank you enough for subscribing. It is so nice to know that, people want to follow me in this journey, and hopefully I can inspire some of you. And I just, like I said before, I don't really plan these talks. I just ramble. But sometimes I think I might come up with something good. So let me tell you a little about, now my hair, I told you my hair is falling out. Well, I haven't seen a lot of hair in my comb in the mornings. I haven't seen a lot of hair. Maybe it's starting to get stronger. And I haven't seen any of the redness on my scalp, so that's another good thing. And I keep looking to see if it's getting red, and I don't see it, and that's been a few days now. So that's good. And last night I had a little bit of pain in my stomach. And I don't know what that was caused from, like the regular indigestion. Now, I didn't eat after 6 o'clock last night. So you would think having all those hours in between when I go to bed not eating, that I wouldn't get that. But I did, so I took a couple of Tums and I slept great. Now, I wake up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night maybe 2 or 3 times. But there was a time that I was waking up 4 or 5 times to go to the bathroom. So 2 or 3 times is not bad. And if I go, I run right back into the bed. And generally, most of the time, I fall right back to sleep. Except for those few days that I told you about. I was waking up at 3:30 in the morning. And I wasn't able to get back to sleep that easy. So I think a lot of it has to do, too. You got to quiet the mind. I've been stressing a little bit about, my diet. And, I'm going on this camping trip and Memorial Day. And I'm stressing on that even, wondering what I'm going to eat. Thinking about that in the middle of the night. But I gotta say, I talked to my sister last night, and I told her how good I was feeling. And she was very happy for me. She's feeling good too. She's on a diet. But, I worry because she's 7 years younger, and I'm not sure I can keep up with her when we're out there doing our thing. But I love hanging out with her, but I don't want to slow her down, and I don't want her to, I want her to do the things that she's capable of doing and not be slowed down because I got to tag along. So I want her to know that if I decide that I'm not up to any of these camping trips this summer, there's other family members that are going to be going too. And she understands that. She knows. She's been watching me. We go into a store together and she could see how bad I was getting. So she really, she gives me a lot of support to get out there walking and eating right. She has weight to lose too. In fact, a little more than me. But she's doing very well, only in a different direction, not with the low-carb carnivore, or ketovore. I say all the names because I don't know where I'm going to end up. I think I'm going to end up ketovore. I've mentioned that before. So, those are the things I'm worried about. And, being back up here at this camp, I know it's not a fancy place. That's it right there. I'd mentioned before, it's just a single wide. It's on an acre of land, and but every time I come back up here, I wish that I lived back up here. As I'm getting stronger. I moved into that apartment because I was hurting so bad, and I thought that's where I needed to be. And I moved into that apartment when I was 65. I'm 67, just about 68 now. So I'm ready to sign another lease. If that's what I choose to do. Because I tell you, my dream, what I really would like to do, if I can get my health better, I want to go traveling. I really do. And if I can do that, I can live up here in the summer, and then in the winter I can take off and go wherever I want to go. Because the winters up here are hard to handle. There's a lot of snow. It all depends on my health. I can't do that if my health is bad. I just can't do it. So, but when I feel strong like this, and I know that this is just the beginning. That every day that I'm going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. I just can't see myself sitting in that apartment. I love that apartment. I'm not gonna lie about that. I do love the apartment. It's convenient. I don't have any worries. The landlord takes care of everything. I'm close to the stores. I'm down in town. There's more people around if I need help. But up on this mountain, I have 2 brothers that live up here. I have some friends that live up here. And I don't really feel isolated or anything. And it would take an ambulance the same distance from the hospital, if I go to that hospital, it'll take the same amount of time to get there as it would here. But what am I going to be when I'm am unable to, travel and even drive? It's a 20-25 minutes drive to get down to the city. Well, at that point, that's when I can worry about it. But right now, I think I can handle this. And one of my friends down the road told me about a handyman that lives just down the road here. I haven't met him, but I'm gonna stop and see if he'll do some work for me. And if I have somebody that will do work when I need it and have some help when I need it, that would really make me want to live here. Now, I know my two brothers, they would do anything for me, and they would be here in a minute if I needed them. But they're getting old too. They are getting up there in the years, and I don't want to bother them because they have their own their own things to deal with. So so it's been something that's weighing on my mind before I sign this upcoming lease. Do I want to stay in that apartment, or do I want to come back up here? And I know that if I wasn't on this diet since March 22nd, I know what my answer would be. My answer would be stay right there in that apartment, because I wouldn't have the strength to even think about anything else. And that apartment, I think that apartment, I love my apartment, and I'm not knocking apartments, because there's a lot to say about an apartment. Like I said, the landlord takes care of everything. There's no maintenance or anything you have to worry about. You don't have to cut grass or shovel snow or any of that stuff. But I just feel like even little projects around this camp here, it keeps me busy. It gets me up off that chair. In the apartment, I try to be quiet. I try to be respectful of my neighbors. And, I just don't want to sit in a chair and tiptoe around. And, now I made some friends down there in that apartment. There's some nice women down there that I like to hang out with every now and then. But, I got to thinking, I can do that from up here too. The days that I go down to the city, when I do my shopping and everything down there, I'll stop and see them. So, anyway, that's what I've been thinking about, folks. Let me know what you think. Should I stay in that apartment, or should I move up here? And this is not a life decision when I make a move either. I could end up doing anything I want to do. There's other apartments if I wanted to do that later in life. And I would love, 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 like I said, to travel. And being on a fixed income, I can't afford to travel and stay in those fancy hotels. And I would not want to stay in the nasty hotels. It would have to be middle-class hotel. And nowadays, you can't get a middle-class hotel for less than $100. So what I really would like to do is get a little RV, one of the smaller ones, and travel that way. And stay at campsites. And then I could travel anywhere I want. Now, some of my family members, they like that idea too. We can go in convoy. We can all have our own RV. And I think I could live and travel for probably 4 months out of the year. And, do some sightseeing and take my walks in all different places. And, well, that's what I would like to do. But we'll see. I have to keep getting better. And, having the stamina to do that. Even if I had like a little custom van, I've thought about that too. I watch those YouTube channels about van life, RV life, but you know what they say, if you hang out in a barbershop, you're gonna get a haircut. So I'm always looking to see what's for sale out there. If I lived up here, I would be able to keep my little car. This little car gets 42 miles a gallon, and my van, I could keep it right up here. I can't do that down in the apartment. Now I know I'm getting off topic, folks. You know, I'm not talking about the diet and everything, but the one thing that I want to really let you know is that these thoughts are almost becoming a reality for me. Just having the thoughts that I want to do this is different from than what I was a couple months ago. You know, a couple months ago, I was lucky if I could walk to the refrigerator and get back to my chair and eat. So, all these plans that I think I would like to do, not that I haven't thought about it for a long time, but I thought about it while sitting in that chair a lot because I didn't think I could handle such a thing. But now I'm getting a little bit of strength, and if I get stronger and stronger and stronger, I could do it. I could take off in November and go down, head south in November, December, January, and February. 4 months down there. Or, you know, not just, well, all across the southern United States. The furthest west I've ever been is to Colorado. But one point that all this conversation might give you is that you start getting those feelings. You know, if you start feeling better, you start, you know, you're thinking clearer, you're thinking about possibilities. Your brain fog is starting to clear up a little bit. And your hope for the future improves. Now, I know I'm just at the very beginning of this, but it's a start. It's a start for me to be feeling like this. I could see that American flag on my trailer over there. My trailer needs work, folks, but it's nice and cozy in there. You know, I've done a lot of work already. I put that roof on and that porch on, and I've already done a lot of work to it, but it's comfortable in there. You know, I have this land, see, here's somebody coming down the road. And I don't get a lot of traffic up here. He's probably wondering, but there's an old trailer over there that somebody back in 1955, a man and his wife lived in it. And it's just one of those small, you know, metal trailers from the old days. And I don't want to get rid of it because I don't have a shed right now, and I've been putting some things in there. But I would, if I decide to move up here, I'm gonna have to put in a shed over on this side. You know, separating me from the land next to me, so that I could store some things in there. And then I'd probably take that old shed over there down and get rid of it. It is an eyesore, but it also blocks the wind for my trailer. But for all these little projects, you know, I like it. You know, and I don't need a big house. I never did. I mean, I've had I lived in a ranch, and I had this as my camp. So I was living in my ranch, doing work on that, and then I ended up moving here, and then I went to Florida, then I moved back here, and then I went to down to the apartment. But now I lived on this road way up yonder for many years. When I was younger, I lived around here, closer to that place that I went hiking the other day. I had a house down there. So this place is in my blood, and folks, your life, if you get out there and exercise and get off those carbs, things start becoming possible, you know? Your whole mindset starts to change. Now, even last night, I got busy with some paperwork that I had to do. Now, normally after a full day, like I went walking yesterday, and then I did that painting, and by the time I got home, I was tired. But after I ate, I turned the TV on, and I thought, oh, there's not anything I really want to watch. So I actually did paperwork last night. And that is so unusual to do that. I usually do that in the morning when I'm awake and having my first cup of coffee. Anyway, folks, it's just a ramble today. I hope that you will get out there, all of you, and enjoy your walk or your exercise. And don't go if it's pouring. I didn't like getting soaking wet the other day. All right, take care, folks. See you in the next one. Bye.